I came across this story, and I was struck by something immediate, by the sheer velocity of the damage and the silence that followed. Let me share it with you, because this is the kind of narrative that shows us how people can be standing in the same room and living in completely different realities. This is about a 28-year-old man, let's call him Alex, and his girlfriend Liz, who's 26. They've been together for a while, navigating quarantine like everyone else, finding their rhythms in shared space. And for Alex, part of that rhythm involved his PlayStation 4. Not as an escape from Liz, but as an escape in general, from the weight of lockdown, from uncertainty, from the flatness of days that all looked the same. During those months, he dove deep into his games. He finished stories he'd been chasing for years. The Witcher 3, God of War, Final Fantasy Roman 7 Remake, Kingdom Hearts, Devil May Cry, Resident Evil, The Last of Us. These weren't just games to him, they were worlds he'd built hour by hour, choice by choice, hundreds of hours of progress. Save files that represented real time, real effort, real joy. Liz didn't fully understand it, but she didn't need to. She saw that it made him happy, and that was enough. She knew he was excited about the PlayStation 5, that he'd missed the pre-order wave and felt a little deflated about it, but he'd made peace with waiting. Next year, maybe. Or the year after, he could be patient. Liz's friend Kat knew about this too. Her boyfriend was waiting for the new Xbox, so she was familiar with the landscape of gaming anticipation. And this is where the story pivots, where intention and impact split apart so dramatically that you can almost hear the fracture. Here's what happened. Alex was in the middle of playing Final Fantasy Roman 7 Remake, chasing down the last few achievements, when Liz walked into the room with Kat. He greeted her casually. "Hey babe, how was your day?" And without warning, without preamble, Liz pulled the PlayStation 4 out of the wall and smashed it on the ground. Then she took a hammer, and she destroyed whatever pieces were left. 20 to 30 seconds, that's all it took. Alex just stared, shocked, trying to process. He asked if he'd done something wrong, if she was angry, if this was punishment. That's when he noticed Kat was recording everything on her phone. Liz walked away, came back, held up a PlayStation 5 box, smiled, said, "Merry early Christmas." And Alex, he didn't react the way she expected. He didn't cheer, he didn't light up. He walked out of the room, went to the bedroom, and locked the door. Notice how the tension shifts here, because Liz is still operating inside her own narrative. She thinks this is a love story, a surprise, a grand gesture captured on camera. But Alex is living in a completely different story. One where something precious was just destroyed in front of him, and he's trying to understand why. An hour later, Liz knocked on the door, asked what was wrong, told him she thought he wanted the PlayStation 5, and this is the moment where we understand the gap between them, because Alex tried to explain that she hadn't just broken a console. She destroyed hundreds of hours of gameplay, years of progress. Save files that represented a part of his life. Liz's response, "Well, can't you just do it again?" He left, walked out of the apartment, came back hours later to find Liz and Kat both waiting, excited, still trying to show off the PlayStation 5 like this was a celebration. Kat jumped in, told him Liz worked really hard to get this, that they just wanted to make him happy. And then she explained where the idea came from. A video on TikTok or Instagram. Some other girlfriend had done the exact same thing. Smashed the old PlayStation, presented the new one, and the boyfriend cheered. Everyone celebrated. It was wholesome content, viral joy, so they wanted to recreate it. They wanted Alex to be that guy, the grateful boyfriend, the one who understood the gesture and overlooked the destruction. But that's not the story Alex was living. He told Kat that a lot of his life was in that PlayStation 4, and now it was gone. He explained, again, what those save files meant, the time invested, the worlds completed, the achievements unlocked. Kat called him ungrateful, said her boyfriend loved the Xbox she gave him. And this is where the story reveals its structure, because Alex asked a simple question. Did you destroy his old Xbox? No, she didn't. She gift-wrapped it. Gave it to him last week. No cameras, no performance, just a gift. So why wasn't Alex given the same treatment? Because they saw the video yesterday, and they got the idea to recreate it, to turn his surprise into content, to script his reaction before he'd even had one. Liz told him she appreciated that he liked the gift, No, wait. He told her he appreciated the gift, but that she needed to understand she'd broken something that couldn't just be replaced. It sounds almost trivial when you say it out loud, video game progress, but meaning isn't measured in what something is. It's measured in what it represents. And to Alex, those save files were proof of time well spent, of mastery, of connection to stories that mattered to him. Liz's response? Well, why can't you just do it on the new PlayStation? She still didn't understand. And maybe that's the real fracture here, not the console, but the comprehension. The story cuts off mid-sentence, but the pattern is already complete. We don't need the ending to understand what's happening. This is a narrative about two people who care about each other, but are speaking entirely different languages. Liz wanted to create joy. Alex experienced loss. Both of those things are true at the same time. And here's what strikes me most. The video was never for Alex. It was for the audience that would watch it later. For the validation of strangers who would see the surprise and call it love. But love isn't performed. It's practiced. And practice means knowing the person in front of you well enough to understand what will hurt them, even when you're trying to help. This is the moment where perception changes, because Liz genuinely believed she was doing something kind. Kat genuinely thought they were creating happiness, but neither of them paused long enough to ask whether Alex would want this, whether he'd value the spectacle over the thing being destroyed, whether the surprise was worth the cost. And that's the weight of this story. Not that Liz is a villain, she's not. Not that Alex is overreacting, he's not. But that sometimes, even with the best intentions, we can break the things we're trying to celebrate. Stories like this remind us why we tell them in the first place, because they honor the complexity of being human, because they show us that meaning lives in the details we overlook, because they ask us to consider not just what we do, but how it lands. And sometimes, the kindest thing we can offer someone isn't a grand gesture. It's just listening, understanding, seeing them clearly enough to know what matters. If you've ever had something precious misunderstood, or if you've ever misunderstood someone else's version of precious, drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. And if this story stayed with you the way it stayed with me, subscribe so we can keep walking through these narratives together. Because every story teaches us something, even the ones that hurt. Title suggestions primary. She destroyed my PS4 for TikTok, then couldn't understand why I didn't celebrate Alt 1. He spent 5 years building his game collection. She smashed it for a viral video Alt 2. Girlfriend destroys boyfriend's PS4 on camera, expects gratitude for the surprise Alt 3. The PlayStation surprise that broke more than just a console.